Okay, continuing on from part 1, our whole grains discussion in episode 35A, let's make that Thanksgiving side dish now. Whole grain winter crunch salad filled eggplant bowls with orange gravy dressing. It can be made in 3 simple steps, or it can be made all in one day. But if you're hosting a large gathering, you're probably not making everything in one day. All right, step 1, or Tuesday of that week, we'll prepare our eggplant and our whole grain. First, our whole grain. Just follow the directions on the package of the grain of your choice for 1 cup or as close to 1 cup of uncooked grain as possible. I am choosing Kamut. It's a nice, plump, hearty grain that will look beautiful in our side dish. I would probably use most any of the grains we discussed in episode 35A, except for the tiny ones like teff, amaranth, and the bulgurs. Okay, according to my package directions, for 1 cup of Kamut, I need 3 cups of liquid or broth. I'm using 3 cups of vegetable broth because I always start flavor building right from the start. Then I'm going to season it with 1 teaspoon of rubbed Dalmatian sage, and for a nice golden color, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. To increase its absorption, some ground black pepper to taste, and a little drizzle of canola oil. And last, 1 large clove of grated garlic right in there. Lid on, and I'm going to bring it to the boil, and then we'll add our whole grain. Okay, we're at a nice rolling boil. Look at that. We're going to end up with a delicious flavored hearty whole grain. Now we can add our 1 cup of Kamut. Okay. Reduce heat. Lid on. Follow your package direction for your cooking instructions specific for your grain. For Kamut, it states simmer for 90 minutes. Now, I always take a little peek about 15 to 20 minutes before the suggested cook time, just to make sure it's not burning or cooking faster than expected. Again, follow the directions on your package, but generally the grain is done when most of the liquid has been absorbed. Not bone dry and sticking to the bottom of your pot either. And it has a medium, firm bite. Not crunchy, but not mushy either. Keep your lid on and watch your heat, not too high. Just enough for a low, gentle, steady simmer. Now, for some grains, I like to pre-toast them first, as in my episode number 8B, when we made toasted whole grained herb barley to go along with our fish packets. But in the case of Kamut and some other grains, toasting can yield a more creamed, sticky grain, and we want a nice fluffy grain for our dish today. Okay, continuing on with step 1, while our Kamut is back there simmering away, let's prepare our eggplant bowls. Our eggplant is actually working double duty for us here today as our serving dish and an ingredient in our salad. We're going to go around the edges, score around the edge, leaving about a 1-inch margin for a nice sturdy bowl, and a grapefruit spoon works best to scoop out that inside in 1 piece. Place your eggplant halves on 2 foil-lined sheet pans and a little salt and pepper on the insides. Now, we chopped the scooped out pieces of eggplant into 1/4 1/2-inch pieces. Generous drizzle of canola oil, some pepper, salt. Toss it all together on your foil-lined baking sheet and then just spread it out into a single layer. Now, we are going to slowly cook and toast our eggplant pieces under the broiler, which is set to high, but the rack is a good 8 inches from the broiler. This will take about 10 to 14 minutes, and I'll rotate and turn the pan about halfway through that time for a nice, even, light toasting and cooked through. All right, here's our nicely toasted eggplant pieces, toasted but not burnt. They look and smell delicious, almost like eggplant hash browns. Now there's an idea for you. It actually took about 8 to 9 minutes this time. So you know your own broiler, even if you don't. Just keep an eye on them, and you just want to get them to this point, toasted but not burnt. Now I'm going to set our eggplant pieces aside to cool while we move on to our eggplant bowls. Now we're placing our eggplant bowls under the broiler to slowly dry them out. Same conditions as for the eggplant pieces. Rack 8 inches from the heat, broiler set on high for about 15 to 20 minutes. And I will turn each pan halfway around, halfway between that cook time of about 15 to 20 minutes. Again, just to slowly dry our eggplant bowls out. We'll be right back. Our eggplant bowls dried out nicely under the broiler. Dry to the touch. Beautiful color. It took a total of 15 minutes this time, turning each pan after the first 7 minutes for a nice, even cooking. We'll just leave them here to cool for now. Okay, it's been about the full 90 minutes. Heat off, and let's test our grain for doneness. Still a little bit of liquid floating on the top. Scoop a little bit of the grain out. Don't burn yourself. You know, it's still a little too crunchy, and sometimes that happens depending on the grain or how well I kept my heat adjusted. So I'm going to add just about a 1/3 cup more liquid, vegetable broth. Turn my heat to low because it can happen pretty quickly from this point on. Lid on, and I'll check it again in about 3 to 5 minutes. All right, that little extra liquid and simmering time did the trick. Our kamut is a nice cooked al dente texture now. I'm just going to add it to our bowl and just let it cool for a few minutes. All right, finishing up step 1, we're tossing our toasty eggplant pieces in with our cooked kamut. Just fluff it together. A large serving fork works best. Gentle toss. And we'll store that in the refrigerator overnight with our cooled eggplant bowls. All right, step 2, or Wednesday of the big week. We'll finish adding to and mixing up our whole grain salad. We'll add some sweet and zesty crunch. 1 small onion, sweet or yellow is fine. 1 small to medium apple cored and unpeeled. I'm using a Gold Rush because that is what our CSA supplied this week. A Honeycrisp works well also. 2 large Brussels sprouts, cored and stems removed, and 1 large celery stalk. Just chop it all up together, small chop, in your food processor, like you see here. And you know, you can even double this mixture add some herbs to that and use it for your Thanksgiving stuffing. Now we are complementing our whole grain with one 15-ounce can of vegetarian black beans, drained and lightly rinsed. Or better yet, prepare a few cups of dried according to the package directions. Aim for slightly firm beans, not mushy. Whole grains and legumes are combined to obtain high quality or complete plant proteins. It can be very specific, but generally grains tend to be low in the amino acid lysine, while beans are a source for it. In turn, beans are low in the amino acid methionine, which grains supply. Amino acids that work together to form high quality or complete proteins is referred to as complementing or complementary proteins. It is an important part of vegetarian diets and certainly part of any well-balanced diet. Okay, now I'm adding the seeds of one whole fresh pomegranate. Yummy little crunch enhancers. We quartered a nice firm pomegranate with some give and pop the seeds out in a bowl of cool water. It's just a little less messy that way. And if you're in a pinch, these are actually available frozen now. More crunchy flavor going in. 1 cup of toasted and cooled chopped hazelnuts, which I did in a dry pan over a low to medium heat while stirring. And they're pretty much ready as soon as you can smell their wonderful aroma. Very little color, not burning at all. Then immediately remove your pan from the heat. Last going in, the juice of 1 whole fresh orange. But first, zest your orange first, orange part only, and save the zest for your dressing later. Gently toss it all together. Your vegetarian guest will not feel forgotten here. Bountiful goodness for everyone. Now, moving on with step 2, let's make my original orange gravy dressing now. Just finishing up adding a 1/2 cup of molasses to my jar here, to which I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of spicy brown Dijon mustard. So kind of a 2-to-1 here. Just get it all in there. 2 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. 1 teaspoon of thyme leaves, a wonderful multi-purpose spice herb. And the zest of that orange, all of it. Doesn't want to come out. There we go. All right. Now get down in there with a dinner fork and mix it all together. Bittersweet, zesty, citrus brown sugar. Put my lid on, give it a little extra shake till it's well blended. Now we'll store our orange gravy dressing and our whole grain winter crunch salad in the refrigerator overnight for Thanksgiving tomorrow. Day 3, the big day. Thanksgiving is here. I filled our eggplant bowls with our delicious whole grain winter crunch salad to complete our Thanksgiving side dish. And there's plenty left over to refill your bowls. That's it. No heating required, no pots, no pans. It is a refrigerated side dish. But I do recommend removing the salad portion from the refrigerator about a 1/2 hour or so before serving to really appreciate the complexity of flavors. Since no heating is required, it is a great side dish choice to contribute as a guest. So to transport it, Just package the eggplant bowls and salad separately, then fill and arrange them later when you arrive to your destination. These are a feast for the eyes, whole grain, winter crunch, salad-filled eggplant bowls. And don't forget, very last, drizzle the tops with our orange gravy dressing. These are everything and more. Satisfying, hearty whole grain, burst of pomegranate, earthy black beans, and crunchy, nutty, flavorful textures, all drizzled with a savory, flavory, sweet, and zesty dressing. Definitely Thanksgiving worthy. I am thankful to have shared all of the whole grains here with you today in Part 1, Episode 35A, as well as our lovely whole grain side dish here in Part 2. And for more of my Thanksgiving cooking ideas, see episodes 19, 20, and 21 on my Mindful Home cooking channel, Elizabeth Stinson, Cooking with the Cul-de-sac Woman, at youtube.com. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and I'll see you next month in the cul-de-sac.